Hello, welcome to Hip Out HR Study Center. Today we are going to consider the topic communication in the workplace, the psychology of communication. Communication is the lifeblood of an organization. It's not just about exchanging strategic objectives down to line managers. No, it's much more than that. It's about building cohesion. It's about building trust. It's about resolving conflict in organization. So today we are going to explore the psychology of communication in the workplace and how the HR or he will be HR will handle issues of communication in the workplace to ensure a more effective workforce. Foundational communication. Communication can be considered in two forms: the verbal communication and the non-verbal communication. Verbal communication are often very clear with a good tone and also choice of words so that it will be decoded and the recipient will have a better understanding of what is being communicated. When that is not properly done, communication will not be properly decoded and the information will not be appreciated. The objective of the communication will be missed out. We also have the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication includes the body language, the facial expression, the gesture. All these are part of communication. Very important in communication. So, but it has a psychological undertone. And what does that imply? A manager can want to give a positive feedback, or with a flat tone, it will be misinterpreted even when the manager is not understood. For example, let's say call his supervisor, you have been approved for promotion. Just that way. The supervisor might be feeling, is it that he's not supportive and the management feel that I should be promoted? So the way it's being communicated, both the verbal and the non-verbal aspect of communication is very, very important. So, but there are also barriers to communication. We can have organizational barrier to communication. We can also have psychological barrier to communication. Psychological barrier to communication can emanate from stress, can emanate from some level of assumption or even prejudice. All these can cause psychological barrier to communication. We also have organizational part of it that can be also a barrier to communication. For example, hierarchy can be a barrier to communication. Poor communication channel also. So one can say, well, last time I said something was not accepted, I was witch hunt, and I will not be able to present my own concern or my own communication. Even though I have a better information that the approach that's being advised will not be more effective. But because management will not listen to me, who am I to advise management? And I'll go their way, which I know is not even correct. So organization can pose a barrier to communication. Good. So let's look at styles of communication. There are various styles of communication. However, the implication for HR in terms of barriers of communication is he must create a safe place for open dialogue and also train managers also to listen attentively, not listening to puncture, not accepting because the advice comes from my friend, not from my clique, not because it is in my clique and therefore it must be correct, but listening effectively with unbiased attitude. That is what HR will ensure through training, through communication to line managers, and even also through communication of policy of the organization on communication. All these are where HR will come in to enable effective communication is appreciated by the various levels in the organization, the senior management, the middle management, and the other staff. So there is a synergy that will come from the HR through the policy, through training, making sure that everyone is on the same boat with reference to the strategic goal of the organization and even the culture of the organization. So styles of communication, there are various styles of communication. We have the assertive, we have the passive, we have the aggressive. So, but the assertive form of communication is often very clear, very direct, very respectful, and comes with confidence, and it is often accepted in that way because it's clear and it's very direct. They will have the passive. The passive tend to avoid conflict, tend to a group think attitude. Let me just, I have said so, I have told them, but it was not meant to really communicate. But in want of terms, yes, I have communicated, but has he or she really communicated? Some may say, I thought you were joking. I never knew she meant it. It was a kind of passive way of communication to fulfill all righteousness. I have told them. But often, that is not the best way to communicate. We also have the other one that is very aggressive, kind of dominating, often demeaning relationship. Please go and tell them, the MD have said. Sometimes you may say that, we just keep quiet, say, don't allow that idiot to be talking. They won't pay attention. And it's a very important communication for the MD or from the senior management. But the way you carried it, as if it's coming from you, the way you impose yourself, the way you show arrogance in communicating it, team members may not oblige you. They will not listen to you. At the end of the day, the communication is not well communicated. And the intention will not be well received. And the objective will be failed. So these are the various ways of communication. But the best of all is also to see that our communication is assertive. So he who will be HR or the people manager should be very careful to bring reconciliation in all of these forms of communication and make sure that everything falls in sync. That communication should be assertive. How do we achieve that? Sometimes it is in people's psychology. The people personality also can bring all this variation, not intended or not ill-mannered, but is their temperament, is their psychology. But the HR person here is the one who will now coordinate, who will now form training, who will now communicate policy provision on communication, who will now ensure that we learn and relearn and be able to carry on in the most effective way that will bring results in the organization. So the HR should be very, very apt because it has a lot to do. When communication is clear and direct, it bridges conflict. When it is clear and direct, it ensures employee engagement. Also, it also brings about change management when it is properly communicated. The resistance will always find in change management will be reduced because it's well communicated and the people are carried along. So in doing this, you will see that change management processes is well articulated. Employee engagement is also same transparent communication so that it will be understood that at this point in time, one should be promoted. At this point in time, this will happen. It is clear. And the employee will know that we are all on this together. What he said is understood, and that which is understood is applied. In doing this way, increasing employee engagement. Conflict resolution, you see, mediation, active listening, will also help because it is in communication that all these can comfort. So reflect, for example, from all we have said, just reflect, think about your own workplace. Do employees, are they being heard, or do they communicate with barrier holding them back? So with this lesson, you will be able to make possible adjustments in your own organization. Communication is more than words, okay? Its psychology is its ability that the people you govern all understood and all follow. When you communicate is not understood, you have not communicated. As HR professionals who masters communication and transform workplace culture, so we invite you to subscribe to HIPAT, HR Study Center, for more of this information and insight so that we can work together to build an effective people management. See you next week.